Welcome to the Monday Morning Wake Up Call with your host, Kerry Ramage, managing broker at RE/MAX Elite, and Heather Holiday, your social marketing nut, talking about hottest real estate topics with a little weekly activity and motivation for the week. Good morning and happy Monday.
Uh-oh, I think I got some sound going. I'm going to mute myself for a second. Nope, maybe not.
Good morning and happy Monday.
Nope.
Yes.
I thought I had everything muted. Happy Monday.
Monday after Easter.
Monday after Easter.
I absolutely love seeing all of the family photos, although it makes me miss those days when we had kind of matchy outfits and the whole everything. And
right? Do you remember that?
Were both working, and one was like, no, I can't do anything. I have essays I have to do. So I'm like, okay.
I had a great day. I actually did not check any emails. I had my phone off most of the day and woke up to a lot of emails and messages this morning that I need to take care of. But that's
and
okay.
We just decided it was a good day to play in God's country with my new toy, and had a lot of fun doing that. So that was exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah, awesome. We have like a big trip for Leo's birthday next week. We have, family and friends coming in town. So it's like, I'd really like to at least, because it's so different, the Jeep is like all manual on everything, and this thing has like all these little buttons. I'm like, what are all these things?
Oh gosh, so at least you got to learn how to use it before you take other people out.
Right. And I'm going somewhere I've never been before. Oh. So it's not like where we went yesterday is, basically our weekend getaway playground.
Right.
I've never been before. So I just don't want to look like a fool and not know, because the Jeep is, everything's like so manual, and all these new things, like just, I need it in 4-wheel drive. Just click the button,
right.
What kind of 4-wheel drive do I need? And I'm like, I don't understand what any of this means. So at least I got to play with buttons, and that was fun.
Good.
Awesome.
And
today's show it's probably one of my favorites and eye openers, and realization how things have completely changed over time. And it's all about creating an experience, not just customer service, but creating that experience. Kind of like, when you go to the airports, you've got all of these lines for regular coffee, but then you see the Starbucks line, and it's just always the longest line ever. And to me, it's so confusing. I don't understand. I'm like, I just need a coffee.
Right. I just need a large coffee with cream, please.
Yeah. And I don't understand whatever language they're talking or all this fanciness. Like, I just need a coffee, like Maxwell House, Folgers, whatever. I don't care. Just got to trick my brain. But it's all about that experience. And I think that we've seen this evolve. And one thing I wanted to mention is it feels like many years ago, Tony Hsieh, who was the founder of Zappos, was
let me just interrupt you and go, I remember when you came back from this. I remember so well when you came back from this RE/MAX convention, because you were super stoked. So, okay.
It was super enlightening. So I decided, Zappos is right there in Vegas. So they do free tours. They even pay for you to get there and back. It doesn't cost anything. I did pay a little extra to get the longer version, to get the behind the scenes and actually talk with employees and managers and stuff like that, to be able to ask questions. But it was incredible. So it's almost like you go in there, and it's almost a little like my ADHD brain kind of went a little overboard, because they want you to add flair to your desk, and they want you to be comfortable, wear pajamas, you write on the walls. What I took away was every single person is trained on every aspect of what you would do. Nobody has closed doors. Even, Tony Hsieh during Christmas, during their peak times, is answering calls. Uh, and everybody, the only closed door was the accounting, obviously, for privacy reasons and stuff. But it was just so interesting. And then they rewarded people for longest call times. At the
Wow.
time I was there, 8 hours was the record.
Oh my goodness.
And what it was is, somebody had like events, like a wedding and events to
Oh,
keep
and they needed, yeah.
going. So they watched movies because this person wanted particular shoes that were in certain movies. So they just hopped on Netflix and watched these movies together to
Wow.
find out exactly what it was. They hand out generic blank note cards, and then you have all the crayons and markers and everything because they want those people that are taking the calls to do personal note cards to the people that they've, taken orders from. It's just
Mm.
a complete experience. They have a full cafeteria. They want you to take a nap at your desk. They want you to take breaks, whatever it may be. It was just unlike anything. I just remember being at some corporate call center job, and it was you were rewarded for taking the calls and getting them off quickly. Or even when I was working in pizza, it's, the fastest call time with the most upsells in that short amount of time. That's what you were rewarded for. It wasn't about that experience that the
Right.
client is having. And that's kind of where the point I'm trying to make with this is.
Well, I mean, yeah, Tony Hsieh changed the game on that.
Yeah. And that was Delivering Happiness is an amazing book. Um, I would definitely recommend putting it on your reading list just to soak in some of this and the whys. And
Right.
why do we make things different? Why do people may pay more for the same shoe from Zappos and Tom's versus going to pay less or, whatever just to get shoes? And
Right.
it's the experience, the customer service that exceeds expectations.
Right.
And
Right. Which is, yeah, which
And
is just
how can we bring that into what we do every single day? And I would love, the viewers to maybe what are some things that you may be doing that may be different than just the norm?
right. Right. Hi, Alicia. Thanks for watching us. I hope you had a good Easter. Um, but yeah, and it's funny, like when we think about what we do, um, we always talk about, making the experience for your buyers or your sellers above and beyond, you know, whatever that looks like, it could start with, sorry, I'm trying to open one of my screens. It could start with, professional photos, which I think we're all doing right now, but there's so many add-ons to professional photos. There's, do you do aerials? Do you do the floor plan? Do you do the Matterport? Are those things you add on? When you go on the listing appointment, how much time are you spending with that seller really explaining the process, right? Because this may be the first time they've ever sold their home or they haven't sold their home in 30 years. We do this every day, so we sort of forget, you know,
I think it's not until an agent sells their home that they realize, oh, it's like they forget the process. They do the same stuff every day, but really going through what this process is going to be like, letting them know. And I know Terry Watson does a great job of this, is letting them know what the expectations are, what's going to happen, just setting them up so that they understand the process. We
yeah.
do it every single day. They may not, and if it's been a while, the game's changed.
It's totally changed. It's as simple as if you're doing a coming soon, if you're in our market where we do coming soon, and you let your seller know, we're going to put this on the internet. It's going to be coming soon. We don't, as an association or as an MLS, don't allow showings during coming soon, but are people going to knock on your door? They might. So you need to be prepared for that and be prepared for what your response is going to be when they knock on your door, you
Right.
know? And the whole point of coming soon, and there's different schools of thoughts. You like it, you don't like it. is to create the buzz so that when it actually goes live, you've created enough buzz that you have so many showings and so many buyers super excited about this property that you're getting for your seller the highest and best price. And you're not necessarily getting that when one person knocks on the door and says, "Oh my God, I love this house. I want to see it." What are you doing?
What am I doing? I'm trying to turn my heater off because it's hot.
Okay. But
So I
so
think my remote's broke. Oh, turn off. Oh,
but
can't see it.
so when you're at that listing appointment, lay everything out step by step. Take the time. It might it might not be an hour appointment. You might need to book 2 hours. Maybe it's an hour of you just um talking to them about your service, and the next part is, if they're ready and they know that you're the right person, get that listing agreement signed. And once that listing agreement signed, that's when I tell them, this is what you need to declutter, this is what you need to move, this is what we need to do. That's when I give them, once I'm hired, is when I give them all the information about the process. I don't give them I give them the information about me and what I do for them before I'm hired, but after I'm hired, then I give them all the special sauce that I do that may be different from other people. And so you might need to, when you're booking a listing appointment, book it in your calendar for 2 hours instead of 1, so that you're prepared to take that listing and go right into, let's talk about decluttering, let's talk about this, here's my handyman, because I don't give out my handyman name usually until after I'm hired. However, I think this is one of the things, you want to be their agent before you really actually are their agent, right?
And that's one of my favorite things is by being able to give value, prior to even getting that, almost like a way to be able to get leads, but not going about that process thinking, doing it because you want business. I think it's just giving value. I think it raises the bar for all agents involved, just helps us all be better, but
Mhm.
be their agents, whether, we get the same questions all the time. Why
Yep.
not do videos about it, blogs about it? I mean, it adds content to your website, which helps with the SEO. So it all helps, in that back end process, but it's adding that value and being able to explain the processes. But
Yeah.
by putting that out there and just being that resource, and the same thing with your area. I mean, I always say you're never just selling a house, you're selling a way of life. So be the mayor of your area by providing that value and not just all real estate, but about your neighborhood, the things to do, places to go, things to do with kids. Where do you go for, the parades and, to see Christmas lights or, there's so many different things that, we just don't think about that's actually adding value, but it is. And it gives
Right.
you content and it just allows you to kind of be the expert of your area.
Well,
Yeah.
even the things, so like some things that were going on, this weekend, where can you go Easter egg hunting? The weekend before at Wickham Park, I think it was the weekend before. I don't think it was this Saturday. Maybe it was Saturday. Poochella, which was an event for all the pooches, and all the dogs came out, and there were different vendors, and the sheriff was there, and But are you sharing that information with your sphere and your social media marketing? And letting people know what's going on in our town, in our area.
I think that's super important. I think that's, not just about extraordinary customer service, but it's being their agent before they're your
Before
agent. And
you
then
really are their agent. Yeah,
yeah,
for
and
sure.
just being that go-to of, making sure that you're sharing the way of life and what it's like to live where you are. I just
Yeah,
think it gives tons of value.
yeah, yeah. And then always, we always, always, always stay in touch with your past clients. Um, I'm good at it. I'm not great at it, if I'm being honest, just because life happens and you keep moving. But staying in touch with them, and I guess, I'm good at it in the ones that I've developed relationships with, kind of beyond just being their agent. And the ones that I was just their agent, I'm not so good at it. But I need to work on it, and because there is so much referral business from that. Jared James says each past client is worth $170,000 throughout your career. So make sure you're staying in touch with them. And the ones that I think I said this a couple weeks ago. I have a customer I sold a house to a few years ago, and he texted me 4 months ago and asked me for a good divorce attorney.
Yes, yes.
I think I told that story. So now I'm his personal concierge for contacts.
But I think that, but you, especially if somebody's not in the area or, newer to the area, I really wanted to, that's who I wanted to get. That my go-to was my agent,
Yeah.
and I mean, and it just is, especially if somebody's newer to the area. We don't know where to get our hair done, where to get our nails done. It all the way down from that, not just stuff that has to do with the house, but your
Right.
daily life.
Right. Right.
And
For
I just
sure.
think we don't think about that enough. And
No, we don't.
maybe even having, we get the same questions, right? All the time. Why not have a sheet with all of these, my favorite places, my favorite things to do, whatnot? Why not make like a little, it's almost like a relocation guide of your
Yeah.
personal experiences. Why not have something prepared that you can even have on your website or have somewhere?
That's awesome, actually. I have these little emails where I'll save, here's my handyman, or here are my, air conditioning contacts, or here are my lawyer contacts for this type of law or that type of law or that type of law. So when somebody asks me, I say, oh, I'll just, forward you an email. But that's awesome, like posting that on your website or having it
Yes.
be part of your
I mean, it
blog.
could be preferred partners, but then things to do.
Right.
I know like our website has outdoor activities, indoor activities, things for the kids. We always have the Christmas lights, St. Patrick's Day. I mean, all the
I was
different events.
I was thinking the one that stands out to me the most, and it's the one that I first noticed us as a company posting, was 4th of July, where to see the fireworks. Because back in the olden days when we were kids, everybody did fireworks on 4th of July. That was it. So if you lived in Cocoa Beach, you went to Cocoa Beach. If you lived in Melbourne, you went to Melbourne. If you lived in Palm Bay, you went to Melbourne or Indy Atlantic. But it was always on July 4th. Well, as time has evolved, each town is doing them
It's
on different days.
a
It's like a whole
3-day event.
firework. Yeah.
It's a 3-day event, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then we make sure to start from the north, and we just go down like what to do.
Yeah. So,
And
I
we
mean,
know what
that's
day.
even awesome information, especially if you've never been here before. Or if you have, I, for the first time, saw fireworks from Merritt Island this past 4th of July. So, went to a friend's house who lives on Newfound Harbor, and we were able to watch the Cocoa Beach fireworks because he almost lives, you know, west of where the pier was, where the fireworks were going up. But that's always cool. But giving information and sharing information like that is super.
And same thing, we'd make little sliders for, when hurricane season comes up,
Yeah.
things to think about, and insider tips like those, like the stuff that's not on the news, but the stuff that helps us. I mean,
Right.
so it's like kind of getting their favorite tips. I mean, whether you have animals or anything like that. I mean, for me, it's like I don't want to go out, we think, I don't know. It's for
No,
me,
no.
I
Yeah.
take every piece of Tupperware, I fill it with water, I put them all in the freezer.
Yeah.
That's going to keep things colder longer, depending on how long you lose power. But it also will be fresh water in case you need water. So I don't have to go out there and buy all those water jugs. All of my Tupperware's frozen
Frozen in the freezer. It's going
and
to keep
fresh.
whatever's in the freezer still frozen, and then it's going to melt and it's going to become your water. Totally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I
So
do the
just
same
like
thing.
little things like that. I just think sometimes when we're thinking about content or things to post, we overthink things too much. And it's right there in front of our face because it's stuff that we get asked all the time.
Right. For sure. For sure. So, and then also, I mean, it's funny. I got an email over the weekend, which was really nice from a lady who I just sold her condo, and she just, it was an email just saying thank you so much, and what makes you so great is that you kept me informed the entire time, and whenever I had a question, you responded almost immediately. And that's huge. People remember that. They want that response time. They want to know that you heard them and that you're helping them. And sometimes for me, even it's as simple as I'm at a meeting right now, because a lot of the meetings I'm at, I'm allowed to, I can be on the phone, but I can't, I can't pick up the phone. I can't really engage in a whole texting conversation, but I'll say, I'm in a meeting for the next hour. I'll be in touch with you shortly, and that is always super appreciated by people. Um, I'm
I
not
think
always,
it's one of the biggest consumer complaints about
yeah,
agents as well is the response time. And, I think if you prepare for what's going to happen, I think that helps answer questions ahead of time. But just even if they ask a lot of questions, you have to realize you do this every single
yeah,
day. They don't. It's an extremely big deal for
yes,
people. Even though we're doing it every day, they're not. It's a huge investment. It's a huge ordeal. It's extremely stressful, right?
it's one of the biggest purchases or sales people will ever make in their lifetime. So it's really important that you're taking the time, and you're engaging with them, and you're paying attention to them, and you're giving them your time. It's funny. I was talking to Sylvia the other day, and Sylvia is the top producer at our office. She is super amazing. She does an unbelievable amount of business on her own with with an assistant. She doesn't have this whole team. It's her and her assistant. And we were talking about this very thing the other day, and she said she had a new seller that she was working with, and the seller said to her, even though I didn't know you before we met, and we interviewed for you to list my house, I know I made the right decision. You are always there to answer my questions. You respond, and I just thought that was amazing, because someone who's as busy as Sylvia knows that it is important to make the customer feel like they are the most important thing. So when they call you, you're responding,
Right, right.
you know?
And then that's so I think it's just super important, especially in time and age where we are right now, where everything is that everybody wants that instant. We're
Instant
in that.
gratification, instant gratification. And I always I do try and say sometimes, if somebody's texting you, they don't expect a response right away, because I think sometimes we get too obsessed with, oh my God, jingle jangle, I have to respond, jingle jangle, I have to respond. And there are instances where you don't have to respond right away. If it's just a family member or a friend or something just wanting to chit chat and you're engaged in other stuff, maybe you don't need to be attached to this thing that we've become so dependent on. But when it's your customer and you're in the middle of a transaction, the
And
response
the best way to avoid the nonstop text is if you prepare them for what's going to
for
happen and
what's
answer these questions before they have them. And once again, you do this all the time. You
yeah,
should know what questions are probably going to be arising. Let them know this process so
yeah.
that way they understand it, and it will help with the amount of questions that you get if you answer them before they ask them.
But try not to overwhelm them. So I try and do it in steps, so to speak. So like if I have a buyer, I we may look at houses, they may not, we'll talk about the process and what happens next. But when we're kind of standing in a house and they're like, well, this is probably the one we're going to make an offer on, I will, while they're in front of me, then really discuss in depth the steps that are going to happen. And certainly in that point, the steps that are about making the offer, what to expect, and then what to do the minute we have a contract. And then I'll pick up after we have the contract and say, okay, these are the steps that we need to do now, because sometimes it's overwhelming as well. So sometimes even with a seller, we'll talk about, this is the process, this is what's going to happen, but let's just talk about what's going to happen now with the showing portion of it. This is how the showings work. Somebody's going to request, I mean, something as simple as this, we forget to tell our sellers. An agent's going to request a showing window. It's going to be from 12 until 1. that means that they can show up anytime during that 1 hour window. And if they show up at 12:50, that doesn't mean they're going to be out of your house at 1. They may be there for 20 minutes, and they may be there for 30 minutes. And chances are, if they're there for 20 or 30 minutes, they love your house. So we don't want to rush them out of your house. But I think a lot of times, like I've gone to showings and my showing was from 12 to 1 and I'm there at 12:45, and I've had sellers say to me, well, you're late. And it just says to me, their agent didn't explain to them what a showing window is and how it works. And I say, I usually say, I'm so sorry. We made the appointment for any time between 12 and 1. And then when what I explained to the sellers, mine, not necessarily the one whose house I was showing, but sometimes I say, oh God, I lost my train of thought. There's agents are showing more than one house. They're showing a series of houses and they have to drive from house to house. And if it's the first time they've ever been out with this customer, they don't have a sense of how long that customer spends in each house. I mean, I had people one time, husband and wife both had notebooks and they were taking notes in houses that they hated. They knew they weren't going to buy it, but they still wanted to make sure they knew everything about the house, right?
My mom's the one that has the ruler,
She's measuring everything, whether she's buying a house or not. So you explain to your sellers that the buyers may be looking at 4 or 5 houses. And so the agent is trying to schedule them and make sure that they have enough time to show and then to drive and then to chat and then to get in. So, if you explain that process to sellers are like, oh, that makes sense.
Right. I think if you're showing 5 houses and you're the 5th house, you don't know, like, was it horrible from the outside and they didn't even want to go inside?
Right.
So that makes it super quick, or they really liked a property and they're doing the measurements and taking all the notes, and you just don't know. So it's really hard. And of course, the more properties, and you don't know with traffic if it's from one end of the coast down to the other.
Exactly.
But if you prepare people and let them understand, like, they're trying to figure out what their schedule is going to be, and it could be early or but it's all about expectations.
Exactly.
Exceeding those by preparing them, what's going to happen.
Exactly. And sometimes we just forget about the minutia. We forget to say someone might use your bathroom, and we are going to hope that they flush, and
we might leave the lights on.
Yeah. If you warn them, and what I just always say to people, sellers, we're here, we're in the business of getting your house sold. So if the buyer leaves the light on or the agent leaves the light on, we hope they don't leave the door unlocked, but it's happened. The buyer might have to go to the bathroom. And I know that's, we wish they would have stopped at the 7-Eleven or the McDonald's to do that, but sometimes it happens. Sometimes you have older people and they have to go to the bathroom more, or kids, or whatever it is. And so give them some grace and know that, they're looking at your house. They want to see your house. And if they have to use your bathroom, I know people don't like that, but it happens, it happens. So anyway.
But I think that's, just that whole expectations. And I think it wasn't Terry Watson who, great keynote on all of that. And this whole exact topic that we're talking about, just exceeding expectations.
Right. Yeah. He was like, let them know they're going to see the sign on the door and someone's going to knock on your front door and say, can we see your house now? That's going to happen. How you handle it, and that if you've warned your people that it will happen, that is what it is,
And then always make sure that you let your the people that you're working with know that you're going to work hard to earn a 5-star review.
Yep.
That allows, what can you do to improve what you're doing, and it also opens up that expectation that you're going to be asking for that review, which is going to help them fill that out when you're requesting that.
Exactly. So this week, for our weekly activity, find articles that make you laugh or make you smile and Ugh. Share them on social or put them in a newsletter or send out a not a tweet, a text to people, something that'll make people chuckle and laugh. I mean, it's a lamplighter in this crazy world that we're living in, and it'll be a really good conversation starter. And if you can just take the pressure off for somebody for one day so they can laugh for 5 minutes, it's worth doing.
Absolutely. And your motivation words of wisdom for the week is one of my favorite quotes is people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel, by Maya Angelou. That's one
That
of my
is
favorites.
that is me too.
I mean, it's just something that I try to kind of live by with everything that I do.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
the giving and stuff. So I
for
thought that
sure.
was great. Next week is all about time management, which seems to be the next new hot topic of everything
Right.
that we're going through. So we're going to give you some tips. So until next week, wake up, kick ass, and repeat. Bye, everyone.